I'm Brian Hank, and welcome to my video on Settlers of Catan strategies. For this video, I will assume that you know the rules to Settlers, and that will allow me to focus entirely on strategies and tactics you can employ during the game. Specifically, you have 4 high-level strategies, those being going for the longest road, going for the largest army, going for a 2-for-1 port strategy, and lastly, the weak monopoly strategy. So next I'm going to go through those one by one in detail, and then I'm going to end the video with some very, very critical, important tactics you should keep in mind as you play the game. First up, we have the longest road strategy. So this one is extremely straightforward and simple, and that makes it very easy for newbies to use, because all they're doing is they're getting bricks and lumber and building roads. You're ultimately going after the longest road bonus, of course. And as many of you are aware, you pretty much need either the largest army or the longest road bonus to get you up to 10 points so you can win the game. It's possible to do it without either, but that is the most common method to get there. As you build your road, you also want to make sure that you don't have a place where somebody can come in and build a settlement to break your road and steal the longest road from you. Another important thing to keep in mind is to try to build 2 medium-sized road segments so that you can combine them later. You don't want to combine them right away because you don't want to be a target. You want to let somebody else be the target, and then late in the game, you're gonna finish it by putting 1 or 2 road segments down to connect them. What you'll find here is that you're going to be able to get up to about 7 or 8 points, but it's going to be really hard for you to get up to 10 points and win the game. The reason being is that you're probably going to get resources that will help you build settlements and roads and not so much cities and dev cards. So it's going to be really hard to convert those initial settlements into cities to get you up to 10 points at the end of the game. Next we have the largest army strategy, which is the best general strategy in the game because it helps you control the game. If the board layout is just right, there are other strategies that are better, but for most games, this is going to be your best bet. Here you're going to get a bunch of dev cards. You're going to keep buying dev cards from the beginning up until you get your 3rd soldier, either face up or in your hand. You might need to get more if somebody else is really challenging you for the largest army, but in most games, 3 soldiers is going to be enough. Then when somebody puts the robber on you, you get to just move it somewhere else. So that's going to equate to additional resources throughout the game for you. Plus you can target your opponents who are doing the best, so that's going to equate to less resources for them throughout the game. Then you're also, near the end of the game, going to get that largest army bonus. It's not something you'll get early, so you won't be a huge target. You'll just be able to get that late in the game, and hopefully that'll be your last 2 points to win the game, or at least get you up to 8 or 9 points. So the strategy is so great because of those reasons, those controlling the robber, getting a bunch of really cool dev cards throughout the game, so like Monopoly is just absolutely outstanding if you use it right. Road building, plus you get these secret victory points, so it looks like you only have, say, 6 points, when really you're up to, 7, 8, maybe even 9 points. Next we have the 2-for-1 port strategy, and this one can beat absolutely any strategy, depending on the board layout. So as I said, the largest army strategy is best in general, but this one can beat it as long as you have a board layout that supports it. You really need to go for this one right from the start of the game. When you're placing your initial settlements, you have to put them on one particular type of resource, then you expand and build your 3rd settlement on the corresponding 2-for-1 port. It's possible on some crazy board layouts that you could put your 2nd settlement actually right on the 2-for-1 port, but usually you're getting so few resources from that spot that you can't afford to make it your 2nd settlement, because they're much better spots on the board. But there are some where it does make sense. This strategy in general is very risky because you're relying on that one resource. You're relying on rolls for that resource. You're also relying on the robber not being on it. So you really need to get a lot of dev cards so that you can get some soldiers, so that people start placing the robber on that main resource that you need. Then you can move it right away because you're completely relying on that, which means you can run away with this game if you get some really good dice rolls, but you can also be completely destroyed if you can't keep the robber off your main resource production hexes and you don't get the right dice rolls. Lastly, we have the wheat monopoly strategy. And this one, you're just trying to keep wheat out of your opponent's hands as much as possible. So it only works on some specific board layouts, those with a shortage of wheat. So if there isn't going to be much wheat in the game, and you can place your initial settlements on the primary wheat producing locations, you can keep wheat from your opponents, and wheat is needed to build settlements and development cards and cities. So if they don't have wheat, they can't get points. They can't build their settlements, they can't build their cities, and you will be the only one who can do that, and you will easily win this game. So cut your opponents off completely from the wheat. Never, ever, ever trade it to them throughout the game. Yes, they will hate you. They will probably target you when they figure out what you're doing, but you will win the game. Next, I'm going to talk about settlement placement, because the initial settlement locations that you choose will be the most important decision that you make in the game. Plus, you're going to also have similar decisions when you choose your expansion settlement locations. Each number on a hex has some dots under it, and the dots represent how likely that number is to be rolled. So 4 dots is twice as likely to be rolled as a 2-dot number. So basically, you're trying to maximize the number of dots you have for every settlement. So for you new players out there, all you have to do when you're placing your initial settlements is count the number of dots you're getting, and you'll be off to a good start. Now, new players, cover your ears, because this part is more for the advanced players. There are 2 other things you should consider when you're placing your initial settlements, and that is having a wider distribution of numbers for one. So if you already have a settlement on a 4, 6, 11 location, you wouldn't want it on a 4, 6, 10 location as well, because then you're relying so heavily on the 4 and the 6 that your resources are going to come inconsistently. You're going to go through rounds without getting any resources, and then you're going to go through rounds where you're getting tons and tons of resources, and then you're going to set yourself up to be robbed by the robber. The second one is distributing the types of resources. So when you're placing your initial settlements, you'd like to get all 5 different types of resources so that you at least have some kind of source, even if it's only one where there's 2 or 3 dots on it. At least you're going to be able to get each type of resource eventually. Those are the 3 most important ones, but there are some other ones that are important as well. You want to look at the board and see if there are any scarce resources. So for example, if all the wool locations have a small amount of dots on it, those are not going to be rolled very frequently. They're going to be rare, and they're going to be very valuable to you and to your opponents. So you'll be able to trade a lot more for them, or just keep it out of your opponent's hands. It's also nice to keep your 2 initial settlements close enough to each other so you can connect to them and give you a better shot at getting that longest road. Not critical, but something that's just kind of one of those nice to haves. Lastly, you really need some lumber and brick in your initial settlements, because you're gonna have to build roads right away, and you want to do it before your opponents, because otherwise they're going to steal the best locations for the expansion settlements. It's even better if you can place your second settlement right on a brick and lumber location, because then you can have brick and lumber in your starting hand, you can build a road right away. And now for some final tactics that you should know if you want to be an elite Settlers player. First one being, when you get up to 9 points, please do not draw for that final victory point. Don't try to get development cards over and over and over again until you finally get that victory point. 95% of the time, it is the wrong move. Just save up for your final city, or save up for your final settlement, and get it that way. Keep a very close eye on which resources people have. So you get to see all the dice rolls. So you should know roughly what everybody has in their hand. If you have an excellent memory, you can know exactly which cards people have in their hands, which would be even better, but most people can't. Just have a rough idea. Lastly, I will say just be nice, be unassuming. Don't give anyone a reason to hurt you, because they're going to have plenty of opportunities to do that through putting the robber on your hexes or stealing from you with the robber. They'll also have plenty of opportunities to trade with you when you need something. So you want them to like you. That is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a tactic or strategy that you can use in your next game of Settlers. You can also get a more detailed version of this analysis on my blog, theforbiddenlimb.com. You can also check out my YouTube channel and find more videos on your favorite tabletop games. So until next time, I will see you later.